is the Extra Point Podcast from Arizona's family.
All right, let's talk some football here on the Extra Point Podcast. We have an expert panel. The football is soccer, and I have to say, with all the high school football that we talk on the Extra Point Podcast, the Cardinals, the D-backs, the Suns, the Coyotes, ASU, I need some help filling out my World Cup bracket. So Garrett Clevely from RSL is in to talk and be our expert today. Elliott Polakoff, who you've seen on the Extra Point airwaves, and Sebastian Otero, one of our producers, a soccer expert, along with Joe Ferris behind the glass here, punching the buttons. So let's get right to it. First of all, Garrett, thank you so much for coming in today. How excited are you right now about kicking off World Cup?
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking more forward to not working in the morning. It's going to be great to have games at 6, 9, at noon, get a little lunch. I know Sushi Spider over here. I'm going to watch the game with a couple guys. So I'm looking very forward to that. But, I mean, the World Cup starts in, depending on when you're listening to this, right, could be a couple days, could be a couple hours. It's going to be very exciting. The most important thing is they have 4 games a day. So it's going to be 2 weeks straight of 4 games, especially games over Thanksgiving weekend. I can't wait for that.
And it's like you have football, It's there's just a lot of sports to watch. It's a good time to do a local sports show and put national stories in there. And of course, Elliott, you're going to be hosting the show on Wednesday. Are you gonna? We can pull a bite from this. Did you not know that? Did you not know you were?
I think I had an idea, but
okay.
It's official now, so we're doing it.
I think it is. Yes.
Happening, right?
Yeah. Put that on your timesheet. How much? And you're a big soccer fan. How much have you been looking forward to this?
Oh, definitely for a long time. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, though, because it's a Winter World Cup, which you don't usually associate with the World Cup. And like you said, there's so many other stuff happening later on in the day, whether it's football, American football, or you got the Suns. But, I mean, now with all the World Cup games, you literally have sports every part of the day. You got games at 3 a.m. out here. So, I mean, there is literally no shortage of great football content, and we've been waiting for this World Cup. It's going to be an interesting World Cup, too, being in Qatar. I mean, you have a lot of background off the field, off the pitch. I mean, it's going to be a lot of storylines going into it, and looking forward to seeing how it all plays out.
And Sebastian, you're a big soccer fan, big football fan, but you produce the news. So how many of those news stories are we going to see in your shows?
I'm going to throw in as much as I can, so as I don't get in trouble.
Yeah. No, it's. I mean, it does. There is that element of it. I mean, before we get to the games, just the cultural impacts here. And are they going to sell beer? Have we gotten an official word on that yet? What's going to go on there?
Banned it.
They banned beer.
Banned, yes.
How do you watch soccer without beer?
I don't know.
Well,
yeah.
I think FIFA has a partnership with Budweiser, too, so that's going to make things awkward, too.
Yeah, it is.
But I heard that they had, like, a designated area for those fans that wanted to drink beer. But then you also have to stay there if you're drunk. So I don't know how that's going to play out.
There's a lot of rules in this World Cup that don't apply in almost any other scenario, which, like we were talking about, just makes this even more interesting in some ways.
You're drunk. No, you're not quite drunk. No, you can go back in. Stay there. All right, sober up. All right, Garrett, so you're our soccer expert as we look at the bracket here. So let's talk about just how it works first. We got 32 teams, pool play, the knockout round. What is the most intriguing group to you of the 32 teams?
Well, obviously, the group that the USA is in, right? They didn't make the last World Cup 2018. Generation of players, unfortunately, did not develop. Why the USA didn't make that one. Last one was 2014 in Brazil. USA looked absolutely incredible in that one. That's when you thought the sky was really high for the U.S. at the time. They went toe-to-toe with Germany. They drew Portugal, and they almost were able to knock off Belgium. They lost in extra time, for that. But, for the U.S., things were looking great. Didn't qualify 2018. So now, 8 years later, you're looking at this team. It's going to be the youngest or the second youngest team at this World Cup. You have a lot of players that have become household names. Guys, years ago when you were hoping that Americans could break through the big clubs in Europe, right? We had guys like Clint Dempsey doing great at Fulham, and that was the best you can get was a team that always finish, kind of middle of the table in England. Now you have players playing for Barcelona, Chelsea, AC Milan, which is absolutely incredible to see Americans at these clubs. So now, the expectation is really high on this U.S. team to deliver at this World Cup. And you're right, it's a group play. USA is taking on Wales in the first game, then England, then Iran. It's a tough group. Every group in the World Cup is tough. But the U.S., last 2 World Cups that they made, they found ways to get out of that group stage. I expect this team should be able to get out of this group stage. And more importantly, the biggest factor is this, and not that we want to look too close to the future, right? But in 2026, the USA is hosting that World Cup. This is the World Cup where you want the USA players to develop, to show that they can advance out of this, maybe make a run in the knockout stages to really set up this team for great success when we host that 2026 World Cup.
And they're playing that England game right in the middle of the Territorial Cup, Arizona State. So get 2 TVs if you're listening to this in Arizona. How do we feel, guys? The two of you, is the U.S. getting out at group play? Or are they going to make it to the knockout stage as you kind of study this?
I think that the U.S. is getting into knockout play.
Would you put money on it?
I would put money on it.
Are you putting money on it?
I will probably put money on it. I don't have a lot of money to put on stuff right now, but when I get money, I'm feeling pretty confident that they'll be able to do enough to beat Wales and Iran. I don't know about England. I mean, England has their own demons in the World Cup as well, so we'll see how that plays out. But if I had to pick, I'd say England and U.S. onto the knockout stage.
You agree?
I agree.
Interesting.
100%.
All right, so U.S. gets into the knockout stage. Is it over? Or does it take? Are we going to have some sort of divine intervention here for the U.S. to make a run here? Or you think? I mean, you're out watching. You probably watch more youth soccer than anybody in America, right?
Probably. But
Well, how is the health of soccer right now in the United States?
it's great. Lots of kids are playing, which is great. And most importantly in Arizona, right, we've seen these pops over the last couple of years. You saw guys that were born in the late 80s, Robbie Finley, Brendan McDonald, even his sister, Jessica McDonald, right? People that made it pro. You saw another pop in the 90s from Arizona. And I expect that to be another one soon where we're going to see a group of Arizona players making it pro. I want to go back real quickly to the World Cup thing. I do agree with you guys. The U.S. should get out of the group. For the U.S., they're fortunate in the schedule that you're playing Wales as the opening match. When you look at that, that is the most winnable game for the U.S. going into this. But the other thing that's interesting about the group is Iran's the only team entering on great form right now. All the other countries have not performed well in recent months heading into this World Cup. So you don't know what's going to happen on that one. And Iran, that's the one that worries me the most, right? They don't score a lot of goals, but they also don't concede a lot of goals. So if you're the U.S., the last thing you want to do is go into that game thinking we have to get a win in this. And Iran could just sit there and be like, look, we're just going to park the bus and maybe we'll get through. So for the U.S., they have to deliver in that opening game. And against England, if they can pull off a draw on England, that'd be absolutely incredible. At that point, U.S., you could lock them in for the next round. Most important thing, though, is how do they finish in the group? The U.S. is paired up with Group A. And out of that one, you expect the Netherlands are going to win that group. You don't want to finish second in your group and then have to play the Netherlands in the opening match of the knockout round. I mean, that is an unfortunate matchup. So if you can win your group, maybe you get lucky. Maybe you get Senegal. Somehow Qatar advances. That's probably not going to happen, right? But if you're the U.S., right, you have to show up to that first game. You got to come out with a statement. 3-0 win, 3-1 win. You got to come out with a bang right off the bat.
Who is the team, who is the country that you do not want to see because they will have fans at this? And you think they might, maybe they can't drink beer inside the stadium, but they would get inside your head. And maybe it's not the United States. Who's the fan base that is going to be the story of this tournament?
Probably England fans, right? Can't drink.
How can you be a hooligan if you can't drink?
I got to give shout out to all those fans that are going out there that you can't drink and can't do anything like that. That is a commitment on another level. Come on, you had to know what you're expecting going out there. It's commitment on them.
Will we see Teddy goals? Is Teddy Golzevelt going? Is he still around? What as far as fan bases for the two of you, you Venezuela is your team, is that correct?
No, Argentina.
Argentina. Why did I say that? Okay, so Argentina is your team. They've broken your heart a couple times, right?
Yes.
Is this? Are you gonna punch through?
I don't know. I'm not going into this World Cup super expecting a lot. I don't expect a guaranteed World Cup final spot, but I do expect Argentina to go past quarterfinals. Especially with the team they have. I mean, they're reaching Italy's unbeaten record. They just came off the Copa America against Brazil. I mean, they have 3 finals in the back of their head that they know that they lost. They lost against Germany in the World Cup final in 2014 in Brazil. I think they're taking all that to this World Cup.
And you have family in Argentina, right?
Yes.
Yes.
My mother's Argentinian.
Mother. So is she into it more than you are? How does it work if you have family from Argentina? How passionate is this?
They're pretty passionate. I mean, going back to your last, I would say the teams that are going to face Argentina are going to have a hard time. I believe that fan base is going to be even worse than England's.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, is there a chance the two of them play? If we looked at the bracket,
it's different. England, they're just going to be insufferable the entire time, right? And I really hope that Christian Pulisic scores so he can hold up his shirt again. It's called soccer shirt. Yeah. I know that won't happen, right? He's already done that bit once, but that's the thing, right? I think the thing with England, right? Expectations for them are through the roof. Their fans are expecting at least a finals appearance. Anything short of that, it's an utter failure for that country. And that's the thing too. England opening up against Iran. Why don't they don't get points in that game? Oh my gosh, you can imagine what that's going to be like back at home for them.
You can picture it.
Protest.
It's happened before.
And can you imagine the depression? Like usually it's in the summer and everybody kind of turns the page, right? But I mean the holiday depression for teams that don't win the whole thing,
I know.
and how that's going to crush the country right before a dark winter.
I know. Yeah, Europe's higher than us, right? It's darker over there. It's getting colder. I know. I kept thinking like how lucky it is finally for us in Arizona. We get to enjoy this and not have to walk outside the bar and start sweating. Like we can hang out in the afternoon. It's gonna be nice.
Well, and the worst part for a lot of those European teams too is that they took breaks from their domestic leagues too. So if they get out early in this World Cup tournament, they're just sitting there watching other teams, other countries just go further. Well, they got nobody to root for. They're just wallowing in their bitterness, pretty much.
That sounds like if you can't drink at the World Cup, there will be some benders afterwards for sure.
Yeah.
Final fours, like what's it look? So we think U.S. should get to the knockout stage. We'll be disappointed. As far as Final Fours, what are we looking at here? How's the bracket go in your opinion?
I'll say with the U.S. real quick. The biggest thing about this team right now, everyone's healthy. The U.S. has never had this much health right now. And you look at it, it's a great thing because you look at the depth of this team. There are going to be players who should be starting that are going to be on the bench for this team, right? And you can make arguments for a lot of these guys. I mean, there's lots of rumors that Weston McKennie is not going to be starting in the first game, and you would say that's ludicrous. How could he not be starting? Well, that's because there's great players ahead of him. So for the U.S., look, realistically, knockout round appearance should happen. The biggest thing is can they get to that next round, right? But if you're looking at Final Four, right, you always throw out your Germany, you always throw out Brazil. Argentina should be a favorite this year to win it. But again, I always look forward to what is that one smaller country that can make that run, right? That one that, maybe they have a chance. They find a way to get through the group stage. And then make a miraculous run. And every year, too, especially with the World Cup, right? We've seen this in the past. There are big countries who get knocked out in the group stage. It does happen frequently, right? Could that be England? Could that be the U.S., right? Could that be Argentina? Probably not. Their group's pretty easy with Mexico and Saudi Arabia.
Or it could be France.
Yeah, it could be France,
Every
too.
World Cup winner always goes home right after the next World Cup in the group stage.
How's Venezuela look?
They're not.
I think they're ready this year.
Got a little too far ahead of myself there. Final Fours though. If we're talking like who's got the legitimate shot, you're putting money on it. What's it look like quarterfinals and beyond?
Argentina for sure. I mean, I feel like the script is perfect for Messi to make a finals appearance.
It's now or never, pretty much for that Argentina.
How old is he now?
35.
35.
Does he have one more like? You think about top 5 magical plays. I mean, the one that I think of is the announcer saying, "That's ridiculous." Does he have that still in him? I mean, you guys, yeah.
He's playing pretty well this year for PSG. I mean, you compare him to Ronaldo all the time, and he's doing a lot better than Ronaldo. I mean, Ronaldo's a couple years older too. But
is that kind of the roadmap? Like, is Ronaldo got anything left, or is he just going to have to kind of be like Peyton Manning there for the Broncos in the Super Bowl and just wave to the crowd?
I feel like he has something to prove, especially with everything that's happening with him at the club level of Manchester United, right? Like the last thing for his own personal ego, right? The last thing he wants to do is show up to the World Cup and then flame out in the group stage, not score any goals. That's not good for his brand, right?
Yeah, he doesn't even know what's next either.
Yeah, so he needs playing in MLS. Come on, you know that. He's gonna get some crazy offer.
Phoenix Rising?
You never know.
Bring it, man, especially with that new stadium. I mean, we had Drogba in here a couple years ago.
That's true, yeah.
Bring it, everybody. Just come out to the desert and retire. I think that's a great idea. That's kind of what happens with some of the athletes in the 4 major sports here. we saw that with Terrell Suggs at one point. Final Four. But I actually want to circle back to that. So Messi, you think it's now or never? What's it going to take to get it done? What is the biggest hurdle in his way before we get to Final Four predictions?
I just think it's can Argentina as a team deliver? I think that's been the biggest thing, right? Messi's always been the star of the team. Can the rest of his teammates play up to that level and get them over that final hurdle, right? You talked about Brazil, right? Unfortunately, they just ran into a German team that was a juggernaut that year and also embarrassed Brazil too at that World Cup, right? And it's funny, I watched the highlights the other day and Germany just smoked everyone in that World Cup, right? But the biggest thing is, can Argentina take that final step to actually deliver, right? Can other players step up around Messi to help them get to that finish line? That is the biggest key for them, right? Other countries, though, Germany, again, you always expect them to be there. Germany, I don't think has had. If you look at Germany's historical numbers at the World Cup, they always perform well. Brazil is going to be there. Again, England, I know we're kind of laughing about England a little bit, right? But is this finally that World Cup where England does finally all piece it together too? great run at Russia. Can they do it again right here too? But again, it's the World Cup, right? And it's 32 teams, and you could sit there and say, oh, this group's easier than that group, or this. No, all 32 of these teams had to qualify. It's not easy to qualify for the World Cup. The U.S. didn't qualify in 2018, and we play in a joke conference. Like, no offense to El Salvador and Honduras and Costa Rica, right? The U.S. should be qualifying every single World Cup. No excuses, right? And we still couldn't qualify. Italy is not even in this World Cup. Italy,
That's
right?
crazy.
That's insane when you think about that, right? So for the U.S., like, and for everyone, right, getting to the World Cup is an accomplishment in itself, and anything can happen in the group stages, as we've seen in the last couple of years. And and hopefully for me, I would love to see another smaller country make a run. It'd be really cool to see that. Because I think, a lot of people get around that, right? Because, again, you always see France, you always see Brazil, you always see Germany. Can someone else make a miraculous run that everyone can rally behind? It'd be cool.
Who could we? What's a good fun prop bet? Like, who's the small country that we can get behind?
I would throw Costa Rica out there.
Yeah.
Costa Rica had a great run in 2014. Croatia had a great run not last year, but last World Cup. But I would say Costa Rica.
Yeah, there's always one team. Costa Rica's a great example of that. Like, there's always that one team that's just going to show up, cost fits for everyone. Everyone's going to go, okay, they're a little better than we thought they were going to be.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you never know, right? It's this. That's why this World Cup is so different, right? As we're talking earlier, right? Players are coming off their club season, right? I think Mexico just arrived yesterday to the World Cup, which seems kind of strange. You're arriving just days before it starts, right? Which is, I feel like, a little bit unnormal, right? So I think for this, to me, if there is going to be a chaos, this is the World Cup for the chaos, right? Because you don't have that transition to where your domestic season ends, then you can transition to the international for the next month and a half, right? The last time the U.S. played, right, was 2 months ago, right? They played a friendly the other day against a local team in the country, right? But the last time the U.S. players were together has been 2 months.
Wow.
That's unnormal for a lot of these countries. So that's what I'm saying. I think this is going to be that World Cup, right, where a team that had great chemistry before can quickly bond together and then make some noise at this World Cup. And hopefully this is the one. It'd be cool to see someone other than a big country actually win a World Cup for once.
Is it something like when you see, in the NHL playoffs, there's the hot goaltender, or there's good pitching in baseball. So what's the position? Is it the goalkeeper? I always get my terms confused and extra time and read soccer recaps and can't really tell what happened because I gotta change the lingo in my brain. But yeah, who's the goaltender, the netminder who can get hot in the World Cup in your opinion?
I mean, to me, it could be anyone, right? But again, for most teams, it could be any player, right? Look, the U.S., they have Matt Turner in goal. Just like look at the U.S. for example. He's been fantastic for the U.S. and he should be starting all 3 games. But if a player like Christian Pulisic can catch lightning in a bottle, score 5 goals in the group stage, who cares what Matt Turner's doing in goal? There's so much attention is going to be on Pulisic that teams will focus around there. And if he can score goals, then he's the hot hand, right? Any player can get hot. We saw that in Russia, right? With Croatia, they had multiple players get hot, guys that you did not expect to get hot for that team. They got hot. So again, I think this is that World Cup where the most important thing is how are players coming off their current domestic seasons? Can they transfer that to this World Cup?
Who are some of the other big characters? And we talked about 2 of them, but who are some of the other big names who this is kind of their last shot at glory for their country?
Cristiano Ronaldo's another one. This is it for him. It's sad because I'm not people like to dog on him a little bit. I'm a fan of his, but it's kind of sad that him and Messi, this should be their last World Cup.
Are there any more statues that he had a really awkward statue made of him, right? Did he look like Harry Connick Jr. or was that Deion Sanders?
Well, the teeth just looked weird and the smile. Yeah, it didn't look good.
The face was like straight up like in different
it
points
didn't
in
look
the
good,
statue.
Is that still? Can you see that? I would go take a picture in front of. Like I'm not a big statues guy. Got to be there. I would go take a picture in front of that statue.
I think they fixed it though.
Oh,
Okay.
and all of us could say it's a statue of us too.
Yeah. He's such a sharp-looking dude that didn't go over well.
But I think that's what makes it funny,
right.
Right?
I would give yes.
Yeah, because I think he you see him in some commercials, he jokes around, but like. You have a little personal pride, and you see that, like, yeah.
All right, so Final Four predictions. What do we got? Let's start, Sebastian.
Final Four. I mean, I have to go with the favorites unless you get like some underdog, but I would go with Argentina, Brazil, and Germany.
Argentina, Brazil, Germany.
And the 4th one, small team.
Small.
Hopefully,
Okay.
Hopefully, maybe U.S.
Oh man,
I'm
wouldn't
hoping
that
for
be
the US.
something? Wouldn't that be something?
Incredible if the US
And that would be okay. So it starts this week. When's the championship game? Do we know?
December 17th.
December 17th. Oh man, that's gonna be that. And that's kind of in that lull of bowl season as well, where there's just not a whole lot on before Christmas. Yeah. So
Well,
do
that's
your
why this
do your
World Cup
Christmas
is great.
shopping
Like,
now.
on Thanksgiving, I can't wait. Like, this sounds horrible to be like, I can't wait to sit in front of the TV for all day long, right? But it's gonna be great. Like you got soccer, and then football, and then soccer, and then football. And,
TV's
I mean, it will definitely wash the taste of having to watch the Lions and Cowboys at home,
right.
which is like I don't know why the NFL punishes us. I mean,
here's the Lions. Happy Thanksgiving.
I want to watch an outdoor game on Thanksgiving. Stop with the indoor stuff, right? So it will be nice. It will wash that taste down a little bit.
Yeah, we should put in a bid for the World Cup in Buffalo this time of year. That would work. You see the 6 inches of snow?
Why'd they move the game?
But then
What
they
are doing?
moved it.
I know.
They moved
What
it
are
to
they so
Detroit.
visual?
I know. I got a 4-year-old at home, and last week it kind of snowed. I was like, "Go ahead, snow game." Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's the ratings are great, but I guess it's you can't get people in and out of there, and it's a safety issue. And it's thunder snow. I wanted to see some thunder snow during the game.
See, being from Arizona, we don't understand those.
No,
things. Yeah.
no. Just play an outdoor hockey game here in the middle of July.
I shoveled snow in Flagstaff last winter. It was like 6 inches. First time I did it, I was like, what's everyone complaining about? It snowed overnight, then I was like, this is horrible. Now I get why people complain all the time.
Now do it again.
So
now,
I kind of get a little bit, but like, come on, football in the snow, like.
Right.
No,
You
I
could play
can't ruin
football
that,
in some thunder snow in Buffalo for sure. Maybe it'll happen again. All that lakefront effect stuff. Is weather? What is the weather in Qatar this time of year? Do we know? Is it just like Phoenix?
It's
still hot.
Not as hot as the summer, but it's still gonna be warm.
It's hot all the time, but it's similar to Phoenix.
Do you think they're gonna regret having this World Cup there with the beer thing and the? No.
These people, they'll make their money. They'll move on.
The ex-president of FIFA came out a few days ago and was like, Qatar should have never been given the World Cup.
Wow.
So, I mean.
Wow.
Once the games
But
are
like-
played,
but
I
like-
think people are going to forget about
Yeah,
it. But
don't they talk about the Olympics all the time?
Yeah.
There's always controversy once the games start.
And
I'll
everybody's
put it this way, I
bankrupt
don't
and
think
they
it's
don't.
going
Yeah.
back to Qatar anytime soon.
No,
Leave
it's
it at
not.
that.
The Super Bowl is not going to Qatar. Is what you're saying.
But
Yeah.
I think, right, if FIFA probably looks at this as like, look, we'll get through this event. It was a disaster. We're going to take a hit on it. But once the U.S. hosts it in 4 years from now, first off, it's expanding to 48 teams.
Yeah.
It's going to be absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Well, it's not just the U.S., sorry. Excuse me. Canada and Mexico are going to host 10 games each. Right, but it's going to expand to a point where FIFA can just look at this and go, look, we'll get through this. We have a great event coming up in America
Right.
in 4 years.
Wish we could have
be
gotten
fine.
one of those right here in
Yeah.
Phoenix, but it'll be close enough, right?
Yeah. And that's it's also during the summer too. So I
Yeah,
get it.
throw in the dome. We got a
Yes.
dome. There's nothing going on out there in the summer. I guess Cardinal training camp, maybe that might complicate that a little
That's
bit.
true.
Elliott, your final four. Go.
Final four. I'm going to go Netherlands.
Oh,
A little bit
the
of a
orange.
tinier
They wear the
country.
orange jerseys,
Yeah,
right?
they do wear the orange, and they have all the names that you can't really pronounce
Yeah,
very well.
those
at
are fun to do
times.
highlights,
But
yeah.
I got to go Argentina as well. I'll go with Brazil, and then I think for one under the radar, I don't know. Maybe I could see Spain. I mean, it's big, but people aren't talking about them a lot. so
Interesting.
they can make a deep run too.
So I have a pool here, and I think Spain because you said Spain. If you can't tell, I've been following all the different sports, and I'm just kind of this is helping me a lot with my pool. So I'm not gonna Venezuela. I'm not gonna pick them. Your final four.
I'd say France. I think they'll get through. I think they'll be fine. Argentina is another one. I would say Belgium. We haven't talked about Belgium a lot, but if you look at Belgium, right, this is a country that is broadcasting the last couple of years that this is their golden generation. Well, this is it for that golden generation.
yeah.
This is the last chance for them, right?
Really?
Yeah. Just maybe they have guys in the pipeline to replenish what they have, but you look at how special the Belgium teams have been over the last couple of years. They've had incredible players for their national team, but this is it. This is their chance. Like if there's any team that is do or die, this is the moment for them to do it.
Yeah.
And then I also say the Netherlands too. I mean, the Netherlands always plays clean soccer. Well, take that back. They play total football, so it's a little bit different, right? But the Netherlands though is always, again, it's another one of those countries that you do kind of always forget about, that they always deliver at World Cups. They always do well. So I think that's another team that's going to be in there too.
All right. So who hoists the is it the golden ball? Is it the what's the trophy called? The golden ball is the Arizona High School Football Award. What is the World Cup trophy called again?
I believe I don't know, is there a name? It's World Cup trophy, but
The World
it's
Cup-
gold
but
and it comes up.
it's
and
like
the
a-
ball
it's like a
inside.
soccer
It's
ball,
like-
right?
It's like this big.
Yeah.
It's like hands hold. It's hands
Yes.
in the world.
Yeah.
It's a golden ball, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not like a big. It's
Okay.
size 2.
I didn't know if
to
it
the
had
trophy,
like a
yeah.
name, like okay. But yeah, we'll for our purposes, we'll call it the World Cup trophy. Who hoists that, and what do you think gets them over the hump?
Argentina.
Yeah.
And Messi and Messi continue to play. Messi and the rest of the team just stepping up and filling in the stopgaps when he needs them to.
Yeah. Is it because of Messi? Is it because of their depth? What gets them over the hump?
I think it's Messi. I think it's his motivation, right? Like, if you look at him with the argument, and I, we can get into semantics. How much does he care about this stuff, right? But when you look back on his generation with Ronaldo, who is the best player, right? I know a lot of people say Messi, right? But again, you can make arguments for Ronaldo. If Messi really wants to be in that level, the Pele level, right, of Maradona, right, guys who just transcend the sport, Messi winning this puts him over that edge. This is the last thing he needs to complete his resume.
Okay, would a handball get him there?
Potentially.
The hand of God, right?
Are they? Well, are they doing VAR at this one? I can't remember if they're doing like a semi one. I know.
I believe so. Unfortunately,
it's so messy with the VAR thing because some areas have adopted it, some have, and some are kind of doing it a little bit. But hopefully, we don't see any controversial stuff.
So how does that work then? Do they have like a command center then, or what's the? And so, but are there people speaking different languages to each other? So is that part of the messy part, or how does that work?
Well, I'm assuming I'll probably speak English, all the referees.
Yeah,
but it's quick. I do appreciate that it is quick though. But we don't need to get into the controversy. Yeah. We don't need to get into like, his pinky was offside or anything like that, right?
Oh,
but it does move quick. But I do appreciate though, nothing better after VAR when the ref does this and like points the penalty.
Yeah.
Like, I love it. It's so clean. It's just like it's a dagger in the heart.
Yeah. Oh,
it's painful. Yeah.
especially when you know it's coming.
Right, because there's no, NFL, you get like, the referee will speak. There's no speaking. There's just, he does this thing and points. It's great.
Boom,
Yeah.
boom. Yeah, I mean, actions speak louder than words for sure. Who hoists the trophy?
I think that it's going to be Argentina as well. I'm hoping that, and I'm sure Sebastian hopes too, that it's Argentina-Brazil in the finals, and Argentina gets the W over the rival or somehow. I mean, that would be pretty epic if they could get that big win late in the game and knock their rivals out in the process too. That's what I'm hoping.
All right, so do they get it done? Objectively speaking,
I don't want to throw any bad juju on it, so I'm just gonna say I hope and pray for the best.
yes. Have you
hope
thrown bad
Argentina-
juju on it before? Do you feel like it's your fault?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and like you lose a game, you're always like, man, maybe I shouldn't have done this, or maybe I shouldn't have like put my jersey on like this, or I don't know. I just hope for the best. Going in with a mindset that I'm gonna get disappointed. So if anything bad happens, I'll be like, I saw it coming. But I hope Argentina wins. If not, I definitely do not want Brazil to win. I definitely don't want Germany to win. And no, I don't want France to win. So those are the.
But everybody else is okay.
Everyone else is okay.
Yeah.
If
What's
USA
what is
USA
the
versus-
rivalry? What does that go back to?
What, Argentina and Brazil?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just.
When
It's
I
just
studied
culture.
abroad in Argentina, there were people that were celebrating in the streets
Yeah.
when Brazil lost. That's
So this
how
is
they-
like SEC football,
this
like
is
times a million.
100, yeah.
Really?
No,
It gets brutal.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
If you're walking around in one of the countries with the other team's jersey, like you better have some kind of back.
Like Raider fans, like they
will. Yeah.
Yeah.
really.
Yeah. Not every place, but there's been scenarios of it's been pretty bad. Like when those teams match up in like the Copa Libertadores, which I guess would be like the equivalent of like the CONCACAF Champions League.
Yeah.
Like they have to they've canceled the away section because like there's been like deaths in the stadium.
Oh man! Wow.
Yeah, it gets really bad.
Yeah. Well, people are passionate about it. So much for fun and games. Where are we watching this in Phoenix? You said you're going to eat sushi and watch it. Is that right?
Yeah, probably one of the games.
Yeah.
I'll probably go to one of the bars maybe on Monday. That Black Friday game, I would love to go to the bar for USA England, but it's going to be so packed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not a young kid anymore. I don't want to be fighting for seats at Georgia
Right.
Dragon.
Right.
Like, it sounds great. If I was 22, I'd be there.
But you got kids. Sit at
Yeah,
home.
exactly.
Some kid's gonna need something. You're gonna need to hit pause. But you guys don't have kids. Do you ever want to watch some? By the way, so Garrett and I can go out.
Maybe if Argentina wins the cup, I'll be in such a good mood. But we can revisit there.
What are you guys doing? Are you watching it at home or where are you watching it?
Watching it at home
Yeah.
and on my phone the days that I work.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that part of the thing is that a lot of these games are so early in the morning too. So
Yeah.
you really gotta commit hard if you're gonna watch these games. I mean, a lot of the U.S. ones are at noon. I know you and we gotta get into work sometimes in the early afternoons. So I plan on enjoying the games, but not too heavily because I have a work job to do as well. But yeah, no. Go to the bar for the first half, maybe watch the second half here at the station.
And this is going to be the first year in Arizona where we can place wagers. I mean, this is, and I haven't really investigated this other than I know that we can. How big of a thing do you think that's going to be for just people in Arizona watching the World Cup?
I think a lot. I saw somewhere they were talking about how much the gambling websites have made already in Arizona. It's insane how much they made. Right, so I think you're just going to people will continue to bet, and I think you're going to get a lot of people that maybe will not watch soccer. They'll watch the World Cup just because it's the World Cup.
Yeah.
But hey, I could throw a couple bucks on this game. Sure, I'll watch it out.
Yeah.
I'll do a crazy prop bet. Why not?
What's the best prop bet? Like, what's a good prop bet, like who wins the kickoff, who has the most saves. What's a good soccer prop bet? Corner kicks?
Yeah,
That's from Joe. Hold on, Joe. Take your shot real quick. Have you been on yet, Joe? Okay, there we go. Did you say corner kicks?
Corner kicks.
Yeah.
Corner kicks, because there's not a lot of scoring, but there can be a lot of corner kicks, and then you get one that like you can get 4 in one shot. Like I've always loved the over, or usually the over of corner kicks.
What's a good number of corner kicks?
Depending on the team, I've only done it in Premier League, and I'm a Liverpool supporter, and they're aggressive, so they get a lot of kicks. So like 10 or 11, and like get the over on that. I looked up USA, and theirs is at 8, and that seems like a pretty solid number to go over.
In a half or in a game?
In a game.
In a game. Do we like that? Do we take the over/under with an aggressive team on corner kicks?
I haven't yet to bet on soccer, so I don't even know. I'd have to do a little more research.
Elliott, meanwhile, I can smell the wood burning up there. Yeah.
I've bet on corner kicks. I've done parlays with corner kicks, goals, and cards. If you really want to go hard, go for some of the teams like Brazil. Over on yellow cards. I'm just that's what I'm doing. Like, but no, I mean those ones are kind of interesting bets. But a lot of times I'll do just kind of like over under on goals, keep it pretty simple. But corner kicks is an interesting one too, because like Joe said, sometimes they'll kick it and it'll go right out of bounds. And if you got the over, you're like, oh sweet, this is gonna keep happening a couple of times. But if you got the under, this is half of the corners that I was needed to keep under, and it's already over that pretty much in the 40th minute or something.
See, that's too hard to keep track of when you have kids and you're like saying to your honey, I bet on corner kicks today. I really need to watch this soccer match. But, I get it and I respect it, and one day I'm going to bet on corner kicks. Sebastian, as far as the news content goes, say it's a slow day. It's the 17th of December. You have your show. The World Cup goes final. Where does that go in the news block?
Right before sports. If not, I'll talk to you guys to see if you guys will put it in sports.
I mean, it's the World Cup, so you'd think the excitement and
it depends, right?
Yeah.
You said if Brazil wins, we'll bury that.
Oh yeah. No. That's a great
just,
point.
That will just get that'll just get a little mention right at the bottom of the screen.
If Germany or Brazil wins, like no mention at all.
Yeah,
like,
you'll give
you guys
what?
won't even know that the World Cup final.
Yeah, let weather have an extra minute.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, okay. Anything else? Any other storylines we need to be following here?
I just think that the U.S. right. It's how does the U.S. as a team compete when everyone's here? How does another player we've been talked about, Yunus Musa, is 19 years old, youngest player in the U.S., bright future for him. How does he perform? Again, it's all about, can this U.S. team get out of what will be a very tough group, and can they make a run to build that success towards 2026? Because the other thing, too, is for the U.S., since we're hosting the World Cup, we've already qualified. Right, so there's really no true competitive games coming up for the U.S. for the next 4 years. Yes, we have Gold Cup. All right, I mean, we always play Mexico. That's nothing special anymore, right? So there's really nothing coming up over the next 4 years. This is it. The U.S. really has to take advantage of these games that are extraordinarily important for them, because they're not going to get that for 4 more years.
All right, Garrett, where can we follow you on social media and just kind of get more of this as the tournament goes along here?
You just follow me. My name's Garrett Cleverly. I have also a lot of hot takes on the Cardinals too. So
really,
yeah, it's a great Twitter feed. Yeah.
All right, Cardinals, Mexico City, Monday night. What happens and who starts at quarterback?
Oh, Colt McCoy started, and hopefully he delivers again. That win last year. I was watching those highlights again. I hope the Cardinals win on Monday. There's nothing worse than not like watching your football team not in a playoff run. It's so tough to watch.
Right.
It's a playoff run. It's so great.
You get a lot more done though. That's the only.
That is true.
Yeah,
I know. Well, it's like ASU football. Like I'm an ASU football guy, but there's been some Saturdays I'm like, ASU's not.
A lot of work to do around the house.
ASU's playing USC. Like they got no chance. Like I'm not gonna watch that.
Right. Well, all right. Real quick, what game are you looking most forward to watching in the opening round?
I'm really looking forward to Uruguay-Ghana just because of the history of that.
Is it okay? Is that? Can you say? Is it? I thought it was Uruguay. Uruguay. It's fun to say.
Yeah. But that game has a lot of history. Luis Suarez. I mean, guy getting a red card, but ruining Ghana in the knockout round a few World Cups ago. So I'm looking forward to that. There's a lot of bad blood in that matchup. For sure. Looking forward to that.
Is that yours too?
No, I'm excited for the Argentina-Mexico game.
Yeah. When is that?
That is Tuesday at like 3 in the morning.
Are you getting up for it?
No. That's the Saudi Arabia game. Oh my God, that is I think Saturday at 12.
Saturday at 12. Okay, it's on all day.
Has to be at work. Yeah, we were joking about that earlier. It's gonna be very productive.
So you're gonna be typing.
Yeah. Everything's
How
good
is
over
soccer ending up in every script?
That's exactly how it's gonna go.
The one you're looking forward to most. We talked about USA, but what's the other game that's on your radar?
Well, first, the Argentina-Mexico game, that's a good one right there. Because I don't think Mexico's going to get out of the group stage. I've watched Mexico enough.
That would be a big story.
Yeah, Mexico's a disaster in the final third. And I'm not just trying to say that, like, I've watched, being fortunate in Phoenix, Mexico plays here a lot.
Yeah.
They play in Vegas. I've seen them play in Vegas. They are lost. They lost to Sweden in a friendly a couple days ago, 2-1. Sweden didn't even qualify for the World Cup.
Wow.
So I don't think Mexico's going to get out. And I think the Argentina game, I don't think they're going to beat Poland. And I think the Argentina game is going to be the one that knocks Mexico out of the World Cup, which is crazy for Mexico because you can always pencil them in getting through the group stage.
Yeah.
That's a staple of Mexico. Get through the group stage, always lose your first game in the knockaround. I think this is the first time they're not going to get through that.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think Mexico's they're just not a strong side right now.
Well, you guys have helped me tremendously filling out my bracket here for the World Cup. So thank you so much for coming in, and we'll check the tape here in about a month and see who was right.
Sounds cool. We'll all be wrong.
The Extra Point Podcast is a production of Free TV, CBS 5, and azfamily.com in Phoenix, Arizona.